of their storyline, but I don't want a rematch between them at WrestleMania. Obviously Dean's going to have to. It'll be interesting to see who they both get, because likely Dean will be defending his Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, and likely Kevin Owens will not be in the Intercontinental title picture at WrestleMania. So, that's interesting too. Also, let's see, New Day retained their tag team titles because they're the best thing in WWE by far. Dang it! Dubnik gave up a goal 4-2 as I'm watching. Wild still lead over the Rangers with just over 3 minutes to play. Back to wrestling real quick. I boldly predicted a week ago or so, and I have witnesses, that the New Day will break Demolition's record of longest tag team champion reign in the Vince McMahon modern era. Starting in 1982 is about where we start that usually. They successfully retained in a triple threat against Lucha Dragons and whoever the heck else it was. Oh, the Usos. Yeah, right. And that was a pretty decent match. The IC match was a pretty decent match. Was it? Yeah, pretty sure it was. Yeah, it had to be Paige again versus Charlotte and Flair. Charlotte is definitely, they're planting heel turn seeds for her. She retained, which I very much agree with. Charlotte was best and most successful as a heel down in NXT. I think her skill sets and her strengths, as well as her weaknesses, work best for her being a heel. And it seems like Ric Flair is kind of going to be tagged to her as her manager. So that'd be, that'll work for ratings at least, and should help get her over in one way, shape, or form, or at least they're going to try. Del Rio Swagger was nothing. The ECW Wyatt family match was pretty silly too. Pre-show was Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch. It's ridiculous. I can't believe how they can bury that on the pre-show. Is just absurd, and then have garbage like Ryback versus Rusev. Awful, unacceptable. NXT TakeOver yesterday in London. All champions, all champions retained. It was a good pay-per-view, very entertaining. But like I said, no championships changed hands. The match I was most excited for was actually there was only 5 matches on it, which is interesting. Normally there's more than 5 matches on one of those. And it's possible that there's more that were earlier, and those will be shown on NXT this coming Wednesday, next week before Christmas, which would make sense with the timing and filming and everything. But the Wild score goal number 5 on Lundqvist. You gotta be kidding me. Was that Koivu or Coyle? I think it was one of those two, I'm pretty sure. The captain, Koivu, Mikko Koivu. That's just a cool name, Mikko Koivu. I don't know. It just sounds like a ninja name or something. Oh, geez, who was that actually got the penetration there? And Koivu basically just punched it in. Carter basically worked it into the net. Luckily got stopped, and then Koivu worked it in. Still a great team goal. Way to go, Wild. 5-2 with just over 2 minutes to play. This Wild game's crazy tonight. But yeah, I saw the only 2 matches I didn't watch yet were 2 of the Diva matches. One of which was super excited about until my trusted pro wrestling guru told me that it was the worst match on the card. Was champion Bayley versus new star Nia Jax. Oh snap, we got a fight here. Wild don't fight. He ain't throwing punches, but he's being held and whipped around. Rangers are trying to get a fight started. Let's see. He doesn't have gloves off. Yeah, we got no gloves off. All right. Settle down, boys. Getting chippy here at the end of the game. Getting desperate for the Rangers. Oh, that's freaking cheap. He paid like, jeez Louise. He's got a glove off. But anyway, yeah, I was told that match was actually the worst match on the card. But I'll have to watch it with my own eyes and see for self. But you know, I'm definitely a Bayley fan, and I really like what I've seen in Nia Jax so far. I mean, she is a unique beast. She's basically like a women's version of Brock Lesnar or The Big Show back when he was young and, you know, really good, or, you know, Kane or Undertaker when they were in their primes or something like that. Like Batista, she's like a female women's version of that. And I've been super impressed with what I've seen up until this point, but sounded to me like her and Bayley, for whatever reason, just did not have good in-ring chemistry together, at least not in this first match that they have. But we'll see. I'm sure they'll probably have at least another match or two at some point in their rivalry or feud or whatever. But that's about all we can say for WWE/Pro Wrestling talk. Thanks for letting me ramble that long about it. Now let's get to the other half of Balls on Fire, which is the new UFC champion, one Conor McGregor, new featherweight champion of the world into UFC, and it only took him 13 seconds. That's right, Conor McGregor, the biggest male superstar in the UFC, by far, in my opinion, was not champion. Had not, I believe, been champion. I'm not sure. I'd have to check that. He took on Jose Aldo. This fight was supposed to happen at 192. Jose had illness or injury or something along those lines that pushed this fight back to this past Saturday. Now, I think the question or debate to be had, you know, with what happened there is it comes down to the duration of the main event. Because let's be fair and let's rewind back a few months and look at, you know, the last year or so's worth of pay-per-views and remember all the times that Ronda Rousey was in a, you know, big fight or main event and she finished off her opponent extremely fast and everybody went, boo, that stinks, you know. It just proves that her competition isn't any good, you know. It doesn't prove that she's any good, and, you know, just all this kinds of garbage. But you don't really hear, at least I haven't really heard anybody saying anything like that when Conor McGregor knocks out the champ Jose Aldo in 13 seconds with one punch. Like, I mean, it was just boom, like one punch. Like, they both went to punch each other at the same time, and Conor landed his exactly where he wanted to land it, and, you know, had more power behind it. And, you know, Jose landed his, but it wasn't enough to, you know, do enough damage. It just kind of, you know, lightly dazed McGregor. And then that was it. Like, McGregor's on top of him, fight's called off, McGregor wins, and you have a 13-second main event of a pay-per-view event that you paid all kinds of money to see. So the question, though, is it good or bad? Like, you know, I hear a lot of people argue, like, especially when Ronda was in the fights, that it was only 13 seconds, and, you know, like, that's not worth the money, and that's a bad fight. But nobody's really been saying that for this one. Again, at least not that I've heard. Why not? How come it's a decent, you know, entertaining main event when Conor McGregor knocks out Jose Aldo, but not when Ronda does it to someone? I don't know. Now, for the record, I am in no way trying to say that a 13-second knockout, you know, main event is a bad thing. Sometimes it's a little bit of a letdown. Sometimes it's fantastic. And I think in this case, it was very fantastic. I mean, both these guys came out and gave each other their best shot at the exact same time, and we saw whose best shot was better. So in a way, you were able to still definitively and with a good amount of closure learn what you hope to learn about a matchup between two fighters anytime you see them, is whose best is better than the other guy's best. And like I said, in this instance, I think in those 13 seconds we found that out. And I'm sure in some cases we don't. We find out how good somebody's best or pretty good is versus somebody's not very good, but the main positives here, I mean, there are plenty of positives here. First off, the ratings and the buys itself. I mean, Conor McGregor continues to break the records. Him and Ronda kind of go back and forth, it feels like, as far as what they're turning in numbers in their draws for their fights. And that's great for the UFC, and it was great for the UFC to get this title on this guy. Sounds like he's going to have a couple different titles in a couple different weight classes. He will be going for, I want to say, is it the light heavyweight? The next one? No, it's not the light heavyweight. I mean, heck, even the prelims, the free prelim fights on Fox Sports 1 set an all-time record at this one for viewership. So, again, good business for UFC. They needed a new, fresh male superstar, that could be, the male face of the company. They've had a female one, and it's been great for business, but they've kind of been without a male one, without Anderson Silva and without John Bones Jones, and without GSP, and I mean, there's all these people that just, for whatever reason, they all have very different reasons, but for whatever reason, they're not big in the business right now. Well, anyway, the main point being Conor will not be vacating any of his titles. He came out and said that he is an active champion, and he will not ever vacate a title just because of whatever weight class he happens to win it in and what he wants to fight at. That he is an active champion. So yeah, don't expect him to be vacating a title just because of a weight class inconvenience at any point in time. I think he wants to try and become the Floyd Mayweather-ish, of UFC and collect as many titles in as many weight classes as he possibly can, and build his brand and continue to build his bottom line in all reality, because this guy, like I said, he's the hottest thing in UFC now, especially post Ronda Rousey loss. Hard to say had Ronda won, if Ronda was still undefeated champ, if he would be number one or number two. Silence, number two. Your stock is rising. I don't like your insolent tone, number two. But Conor McGregor is polarizing, and he's entertaining, and he is damn good as a fighter. And the guy he took out, Jose Aldo, was considered one of, and granted we might have to go top 10, or top 15 or something like that, but Jose Aldo is considered one of the best fighters in his weight class of all time, arguably, definitely of his generation of the last 5 to 10 years or so. Now, I'm sure you remember from last week's show that I did predict Jose Aldo to win via decision